Hall of Heroes Podcast Episode 1. Welcome. Here we are.
Here we are. We're the Hall of
We're
Heroes.
the Hall.
This is not our usual drink of choice.
No, it's not.
Usually it's whiskey and amaretto.
Yeah, so it's
Poured
actually
down my
funny
throat.
because that's how all of this kind of started.
Whiskey and amaretto.
The assassin shot.
That's how the Hall. Yeah. So tell us the story, Father.
Oh boy. All right. So many moons ago, when I was in fact just a humble barkeep, I was known around town for just this terrible idea of a shot called the assassin, which I whipped it up with an Irish whiskey and an unknown amaretto of choice. And yeah, for those wondering, it's a 70-30 mix, mostly whiskey. It's pretty good. But the amaretto takes the bite off the end, so people who don't necessarily like to taste whiskey or deal with that much burn. Yeah, they could do the shot, and it was enough for them to start feeling pretty good, get a good buzz going. But then
They are dangerous.
Oh yeah, because they sneak up on you. It's that sugary aftercoating of amaretto that catches you at the end that takes the bite right off into the whiskey. And it just became a whole ritual at the nightclub I was working at, where we would all just meet up at the back bar where I was, and we just had our little ritual, me and the other staff members, when we would have, as I call it, team building activities. So we had a little ritual that we created where we would just go 1, 2, 3, and bow. And then we would do the shot. So
and
that
the assassin shot was born.
Yeah, that's how I was born. Born in a whiskey-fueled rage. So how we got here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh.
because I remember you saying that the Hall name was, you guys, what was it? You had said you were going to fair, having fun, coming back home.
Mhm.
You bought all this leather. And
Oh,
you were
yeah.
like, I don't really want to only wear this once a year. I want to wear it.
Oh,
all
yeah.
year.
Good garb is pricey.
Mm,
And we wanted a little bit of return on investment. So me and one of my coworkers, Sean, I see you, Seamus, we were sitting there at the end of the last day of the Michigan Ren Fest in 2022. And we had just looked at each other at one point. And he's like, man, don't you wish we could do this every day? And I looked at him and I'm like, we should do this every day. So I just came up with the idea of, hey, why don't we let's do a trial run entire month of October. It's Halloween. Nobody's really going to think anything of it if we're working in our garb. And
right. You're dressing up anyways. You're in costume.
Exactly. So it wouldn't be too off-brand for us to pull that off. And then I started reaching out to local businesses, specifically a hobby store. And I'd been like, hey, why don't you come in? We'll do like a Dungeons and Dragons night. We'll do video game tournaments and stuff. And from there, it just started spiraling. And the first couple weeks that we were doing it at that bar, like, it really was taking off. Sean, aka Seamus, was looking at me one night. So what are we calling this? And I'm like, I don't know. We just got a bunch of nerds in armor. It's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
And he's like, you just built your own version of the Hall of Heroes. And I just looked at him like, yeah, that's it. Hall of Heroes. That's what we're calling it.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And so the name of the hall
Was born from the sweet lips of our young Seamus.
He was actually present, which, most of the time, if you read the story, Seamus is lost.
Yeah.
He's gone.
He disappears
the
from
first
time to
time-
time. It's not
Well,
too
yeah, the
different
first
from
time-
reality. You don't understand how many times we've lost Seamus.
Well,
when
that
we've
was
gone
what was,
out.
no, that was hilarious because that was the first time you shared the story with me and I actually read it through. I remember thinking that, and I think I texted you or called you or something, and I was like, why is Seamus always missing? And you were like, actually, funny story.
So about that. Seamus gets lost. Seamus gets sleepy.
Mhm.
And sometimes you find a sleepy Seamus falling asleep on the side of a curb. Or one night, we actually found him in 3 places simultaneously. His legs were up in the back seat of his car. His hips and majority of his torso were in the grass next to the car, and then his head was on the curb.
Oh.
He is definitely our dwarven pound cake, our densest dwarven boy.
So that was what, like you said?
2022.
2022. Okay. Yep. So that was the start of it, as you started just doing these. Did it start as tabletop role-playing nights?
No, we didn't even start our role-playing nights until we moved to the second venue.
Okay, so at first it was literally just come Garba, hang out,
listen to metal, just be a bunch of...
Yeah, because there's the Spotify playlist that you have, which is super cool.
Yep.
It has some pretty iconic
songs. There are definitely some Hall of Heroes anthems in there.
Yeah.
We got some bangers. But yeah.
Okay, so then you get to the second venue, and you started...
So the second venue was aesthetically perfect for what we were going for. Like, it was an old German bar, and like it'd been open since the 70s, I believe, or 60s, 70s, 61, I think it was. And it just had this old, just arch ceiling way basement. And that's when I started writing the storyline. I envisioned that basement as the Hall of Heroes Tavern that I write about. That's the home of the Assassin Guild. From there, we had multiple D&D nights down there. We ran different themed parties. We had a really awesome Star Wars night.
Yeah.
Which, stay tuned, we're going to have another May the 4th party. Shameless plugs are amazing.
You were doing both then, at that point.
Yep.
You were doing both. If I remember correctly, you said this was when it turned into the 3 nights a week that you were doing?
So originally I wanted to do it just on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the college kids at U of M were very receptive to it.
They were into it. Yeah. They were like, yeah, more.
Also, big shout out to the U of M snowboarding club. You guys have been amazing.
I have yet to meet you, so...
Oh yeah, you weren't there that last night that I ran into a couple of them when they popped into Hearsay.
Yeah. Yeah, we forgot to explain who we are.
Oh, by the way, hi, I'm Ramsey, a.k.a. Köykkä.
Ramsey is not only the founder of the Hall of Heroes, as you can hear from going back in the story of the founding of the Hall of Heroes, but I am one of the new owners, but I only came into the picture last summer. So more to come. We'll keep going on the story.
Yep.
But that's also a good way to explain it. And I'm Corpy.
Yep.
He wrote me into the story later on, and we'll dive into that. But yeah, for those who are looking and watching and not know, you're like, who are these people?
I'd hope to think that if they're watching, they probably heard about us from our friends, but also wider internet community. Hello, nice to meet you.
Hello, if there's anyone else who might be watching. So anyways,
yeah,
you were in the bar that was aesthetically perfect. You were doing the nerd nights once a week, developed into more, right?
Yep. Once we moved to that venue, that's when I started with the weekly storyline posts on social media.
Began.
Yep. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm just going to stutter for a minute. It's fine. So there was just this weird thing that I was doing as a bartender the year prior, where I was calling myself the nomad bartender, because basically I was just bouncing from place to place, working random nights at different spots.
Yeah.
And I just developed this like online tone to my post to get all my regulars to go to whatever bar I was at any given night of the week. And it became like a strange monologue of sorts.
Yeah.
And then once we started doing Hall of Heroes at the first venue, I just translated that into a narrative to go along with what is the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah.
So basically all of us have like either our like D&D character persona or our Ren Faire persona that we go by.
Yeah.
And
which is new to me. I'm an old school Rennie. We didn't have that back in the day. You were just either a peasant or you were royalty. That was it. And
You're
I'm
just
peasant,
flexing that
always
OG
peasant.
status. Yeah.
OG peasant.
Yeah, that was something I learned myself because I'd only started going to Ren Faire in 2022, which is, knowing what you know about me, weird that it took me this long to get there.
2022 to find the fair folk. Like,
yeah,
been missing out.
Weirdly enough, I just missed out my entire life.
I was raised by them.
I was 38 years old and just had no idea where my people were hiding.
It's fine.
Yeah, it worked out. But yeah, so I started writing this storyline because everybody in the group had their personas, and part of Hall of Heroes is I wanted everybody to feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah.
So the best thing I could do is write them into the story. So every new regular I had at the bar, every new person that hung out with us when we would go to different fairs, I would write their character into our storyline. And there are a few others that were just like D&D characters from different adventures that I've DM'd over the years. And I'm just like, okay, this is who you are because I've seen you play this character for at least 5 years. So
because that's another piece of the Hall is it's based in the world that you created and have been running
15 plus years.
Yeah. You've been running different campaigns.
Yep.
With multiple different groups.
Oh, yeah.
Over the last 15 years.
Yeah, it's funny because in the storyline, we're about one season away. Yes, I've written the storyline well into the future. And yes, last night I did just finish writing the novel that's going to follow it.
There is so much more that nobody knows yet that I've read that I'm just like, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to be released. It's going to be so cool.
There's a very specific point in the storyline, major key canon event that has occurred in at least 3 or 4 different campaigns where there's this fortress at the northern border of the kingdom and it just gets overrun.
Yeah.
And it's been amusing over the years to just see how different people react to this no-win situation where you are meant to run for your life.
Yeah.
You're not going to survive this battle. And it takes a shift into like almost a horror theme because you're facing these overwhelming odds of hordes of undead, crazed barbarians, these shamans that practice necromancy, and then the most terrifying thing of it all, the devastation beetles. These giant undead beetles that just...
I haven't met those yet.
Right, so it's very similar to like Starship Troopers, I'm not going to lie. I took a little bit of creative liberties there, and I'm just like, let's just have giant undead beetles that shoot necromantic plasma at people.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
You've heard the story of Flint Badaxe.
Yeah, we met another Bad Axe.
Yeah, you just met his younger brother Corbin.
Yeah, Corbin.
Which was played by my friend Ben up in Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah.
Which, amusing character who unfortunately got stuck with the unfortunate aftermath of his brother Flint's terrible decisions. Yeah, Flint Badaxe is a bit of a legend in the storyline too.
Yeah, well, what was funny is the other night when we were playing, and as soon as you said Bad Axe, I heard 2 or 3 people in the group go,
Yep,
and then
Robyn and Hamad, absolutely.
And I was like, wait,
I have made them suffer so bad with that character. Oh yeah, no, there's been like the going trend in the last 3 adventures where Hamad will visibly shift the second Flint Badaxe is mentioned, and he will be like, absolutely 100% I'm going to kill this man. Like, my character hasn't met him, but he wants to kill him. I hate him with every fiber of my being.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's where a lot of the inspiration definitely came from all of the different campaigns I've run in my different adventures.
What was your inspiration for writing your own world?
Rules lawyers, people complaining about canon this and canon that from all the predetermined multitudinal D&D campaign settings.
So you wanted it to be a little bit more free.
Yeah, I wanted it to be something that I could control. So I'm like, okay, here's this world. You're dealing with these different elements that are at play. and you don't know what you're getting into because you don't have a player's handbook or a campaign setting book to just go through and be like, this rule says this, or these are the stats for this thing. Plus, it kind of adds a nice little air of mystery for players, because if it's something they're unfamiliar with, they're going to have to be more creative and adapt to different situations to be able to actually handle it.
I feel like I'm still in the, can I do this? Can I do this phase? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing yet. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
well, can I do this?
It's actually pretty amazing to watch you develop as a player, because you have certainly gone from quiet to forcefully determined, kind of pushing things along, being like, all right, everybody, we've just been sitting here talking for 20 minutes. Why don't we go to the place and do the thing?
Okay, I'm sorry. That drives me nuts more than anything. Like, I don't want to sit here and debate for 10, 15 minutes about whether or not we should do something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it or don't.
Well, that's also where you've become the random element and fully embraced your role as the party's murder hobo.
Yeah, that is true. And to be fair, sometimes I don't know we're fighting either. Like a little time with the robots, and I just ran right past them. I was like, I don't know what we're doing. I'm going over here.
Yeah. Oh, there's a battle happening? Oops.
So you started writing the world of the Hall Cardano, which we can, of course, go into. That's a whole other video. That's a whole other session that we can do for sure, going into the background of that. But you wrote your own world. You wanted your own freedom. You created the Hall of Heroes to help make everybody feel included on off season and have a place to go and wear their garb and have fun and play games. Because we've not only played tabletop games, we've had people bring board games. Somebody brought the Princess Bride board game one time, and I loved that. Was so much fun to play, because it was the Poison game from the movie, and they've turned it into a board game. They've got a couple of them out there. But yeah, it's been really fun from what I've experienced in its newer, revamped fashion, because you went from that location, you were doing those nights, you started doing events, you had a May the 4th event. And you had we had a big New Year's party. Yeah, a huge New Year's party. I was actually shocked. New Year's Eve 2024. Like I told you, the assassin shot. We have our little ritual and everything. No, to be fair, it's really entertaining to be behind the bar wearing full black leather armor and looking across your bar rail and seeing an entire line of people in Ren Faire garb, and they're all doing your ritual. Everybody's just rubbing their hands, waiting for the countdown, clap in unison. They all bow. We all cheers, and it's just, I love that. Most of our nights, like we've had events, like since you and I have been running it together, it's cute to see. It's cool. I guess I shouldn't say cute, but it's cool to see everybody come together during that, because you usually can get at least like 8 to 10 people to come together. And depending on how many people have been around since the beginning and have been subjected to my cool concoction. Well, no, people will just bring up shot. They'll just bring it, because in the venue that we work in now, we don't have amaretto, so we have the rise and die now, which is an OG Seamus shot. Yeah, it's a variation of his recipe, but still tastes the same. I don't mind it because it has coffee. Coffee is my favorite. She's lying to you. She says there is no rye, only die. This woman cannot handle it. I can't handle the rise and die, but I don't mind it. You're like, oh, it tastes good, but ouch. But I can't handle it. There's a couple bars where I go, and as soon as they see me walking in the door, they've already got like a double or triple shot poured, waiting on the bar for me. And I walk and I see it, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting too old for this, man. I'm not built like I used to be. Not as spry as I once was. That's what I thought until I met you. I hadn't drank in years. But like, I didn't think I could handle it. And then you've taught me that I could. Or at least it's about being able to cut yourself off when you know you're a little too far. And just understanding that drinking responsibly is a thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like life. You got to figure it out for yourself. Trial and error. And not going so far inward when you fail that you continue to do the Well, that's realistically how Hall of Heroes works in general. That's always been my outlook on it, is we've had some nights that weren't as busy as others. Not as many people could make it out, whether it's the weather or just life happening.
But then there's nights where we look around, like on our murder mystery event in October. I looked around, I'm like, oh, wow.
We had a huge turnout for that. We had a great turnout for that. That was really cool. It was really fun too. So I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit because we jumped from
story to
doing it alone to then not explaining how I came in.
No, you might as well explain how we met too, seeing as how you ordered me online.
Yeah, so thanks, Bumble. Yeah, we have both gone through, last year was a pretty tough year, we both went through a career end.
Yep.
On both of our ends, but not by choice. Both of us were
cast out, set aside, just
thrown to the
off with you.
Yeah. I got laid off last March. You basically got the same treatment.
Yeah, in January, yeah.
And that was it. So we both, funny enough, met
at the worst points of our professional lives.
Yeah.
And somewhat personal lives as well in certain areas, but yeah.
Yeah. Which it's just funny to me because it's like we needed that in one way. Like it was the worst thing to happen, but sometimes the worst things that happen are like a blessing in disguise.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
1,000%.
That's 100% what that was. This is a blessing in disguise.
I have a really bad problem with allowing my ego to get the better of me sometimes. Me? Never. And it was a nice humbling experience for me to remember, okay, let's start back at the basics and let's cut all the fat out, all the stupid stuff that I don't need in my life, and let's just go from there. And then that's when I decided, all right, we're going all in on Hall of Heroes.
Yeah.
With your assistance, of course.
And I think that's it, is we're both hard workers, but we both put a lot of work into the work that we do. And we've been doing that for a long time for other companies. And that's not beneficial, realistically, to either one of us, because we are putting all of our effort into companies that have proven
that you're replaceable at the end of the day.
And at the end of the day, that is what it is. That's
welcome to our TED Talk.
That's business. That's what it is. But it really made me look at it and go, well, I don't want to continue working for someone else. I want to work for myself.
Yep.
So
and what's great is it also gives us a lot of really cool opportunities to try all sorts of wild things that maybe we never would have figured we'd be into.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, going back to murder mystery and stuff. Like, I never would have thought, hey, I'm going to throw a murder mystery event and write out this whole ornate storyline and have people have to dig up all these clues to go along with this plot that I've written. Never would have thought that would have been a hit.
Yeah. No, and that's why when I met you and you told me about the hall and what you'd been doing with it. And
for 2 years.
All of that, I was like, instantly, yeah, heck yeah. Like, I think it was like maybe a month after we started dating that then you went to work one night and I was like, all right, what do you want your logo to look like? And I just...
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He had given me a couple ideas and I was just like...
Yeah, and then as I'm sitting at work, she then sends me a video of her just looking at the computer screen and it just scrolls up and there's a whole website designed. And I'm like, oh, so 3 hours of me being at work.
Logos. Yeah. I had provided you with 25 different logos and I started our website that night. And because I saw the vision from the start. Like,
and you say I'm ADHD.
Oh, no, I'm definitely ADHD. For sure. But yeah, I saw the vision. I saw what the hall could be, and not just for you and I, and it's not in any kind of greedy way. It's I saw what this world, what this whole setup could be, and I wanted to be a part of it. And so I have been. So yeah, we created the logo.
Yep.
And
you created the logo and I just said, yep, that's the one.
But we work really well in that sense.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah, what was that? That was probably, I think when I look at things online, it's August was when we officially launched most of our social medias.
Yep, the website, because it was the first weekend of the Michigan Renaissance Festival 2024. Because we wanted
to get that up before we went, because we were launching the Assassin's Guild.
This flag up here has been a nuisance to so many people.
Yeah.
Good job, Christian. You're a great flag bearer.
So August was like the launch, the like hard launch of
That's
hard launch.
Whole other story too is like how we started the Assassin Guild.
We started everything all at once.
Well,
more thinking about it, because we
actually
started
kind of
the Assassin Guild. We started the
website.
The website. We started the once a week Tuesday night events at Hearsay. We started.
We're just like, all right, chaos. Here we are.
Par for the course with us, though.
I am definitely chaos, and much to the detriment of
others
around me.
We spent 3 weekends going to fairs, and we were just like, yeah, we're making it our whole career. Let's do it.
It's funny because the Assassin Guild, geez, this goes back to 2023 when we were going full force at Michigan Ren Fest with my whole crew from Ann Arbor. And we had like our old Hall of Heroes flags, and we just made sure everybody knew who we were.
Yeah.
And some of the like older Rennies came up and they're like, who are you guys? What are you doing? You're wild. What's going on here? Where did this group come from? And that's when they all started learning about Hall of Heroes, and some of them started coming out to our events. And it just got to a really cool point where I became informed that there's guilds at Ren Faire.
Yeah. Funny enough, something that I also didn't know about.
Sorry about that weird interruption because we had a power malfunction, but we're back.
Brief technical issue.
It's fine. Technology's wild. So we were talking about learning that there were guilds at Ren Faire.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm an OG Rennie. So I've been going to Renaissance Festival, at least the Michigan one, since I was 5. A whole crew of us, there's a whole group of us, and you didn't go to fair without the whole 9 yards, garb and everything. Like my stepmom used to hand make all of our garb for us.
Yeah.
So I had no idea, but I remember hearing about the mercs growing up, or the robes, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So when you and I first started talking about it, I was like, oh, that does sound familiar, but like, I guess I didn't realize that there's really this whole community of guilds and guild members that we found this past year. At least I found.
For me, I'd actually met the leader of the mercenaries pretty early in my time at Ren Faire. I met Ron, and he kind of coached me along, and it was actually wild because, like I said, 2023, it was my second year of going, and like all of a sudden we're introducing ourselves to all these dedicated old school Rennies, people that have been going for years.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was just playing catch up to this whole scenario.
This whole,
this
community.
Entire world that I kind of knew existed, but there's always been like this weird stigma with D&D players where we're like, oh, LARPers.
Yeah.
Oh, people wear costumes and go out and play. And maybe that goes back to the 80s with the whole satanic panic. And they're like, oh, there's kids in Detroit playing D&D in the sewers and all this crazy stuff's going on. For a D&D player, we try to stay a little bit off to the side. And yeah, we're nerdy, but we're not that nerdy. I'm totally that nerdy, though.
Well, and I mean, I feel like we're getting off topic, but this could be another topic for discussion for another video, is there is some clique issues in, I think that it's in everything.
Community. Yeah.
But like in the fair community, there's a lot of push and pull, because the Michigan Ren Fair used to be an actual Renaissance fair, and now it's been relabeled as a fantasy fair. Now, I don't know that a lot of people know that. So then there's people who haven't been
there's
in a
like the traditionalists who are they're SCA. They follow like the actual historical accounts, and they only wear what is period accurate, and they leave it at that. And that's totally cool. And I love that there's a whole community that does that.
Yeah.
But then there's all of us fantasy nerds like myself. We're like, I want to be a assassin that creeps through the crowd, and you might not necessarily like my armor because sometimes it can be a little flashier than your standard fair that you see at Renfest. And
I finally understand why people dress up as red people, because I didn't know what I didn't know what Baldur's Gate was, and now that I've played, I'm like,
so you're seeing all the tieflings.
I know what
with
tieflings are now, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that is. So it makes a lot more sense now that I know, and I've been diving into this world. But I can see where a lot of people who maybe don't even know it exists or have been going to fair for years and all of a sudden see this, they're like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I got to know Ron in 2023. We had run into him and quite a few other Rennies, starting at the Canterbury Medieval Fair at Canterbury Castle in Lake Orion.
Yep.
And then again at Mid-Michigan Enchanted Forest, which that's when me and him really started talking a little bit more. And then he's just, I've seen you everywhere. Who are you? What's your deal? Like,
why do you have that flag?
You've got this flag. You've got this whole crew of misfits following you around. And it's great because I got to be like, yeah, so I guess you could say we're like the Ann Arbor Assassins because that's like our trademark shot.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you should start the Assassin Guild because there hasn't been one in a long time. And I'm like, what's it? What now? There's a guild? There's guilds? I can do what? So then I started looking into it and he kept sending me all the information I needed to get the ball rolling on it. And finally this last year, right before we started fair season, I'm like, all right, cool. That's it. We are the Assassins and we're going to do this officially. And we're going to be a hilarious nuisance upon the Michigan Renaissance Festival because we are going to have our little potion game with the Wenches Guild and
we'll go more into that in our Assassin Guild explanation video that we're gonna do. Because that was a lot of fun coming up with that game, doing the game, going every weekend. Everything we've gotten set up for that has been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been a blast.
And it's really been about, we're big on community. That's another thing that I liked when you and I got together and we revamped the hall. Not revamped, but
brought it back again after changing venues and just going on a bit of a hiatus. I figured life out for a minute.
Yeah, like you said, last year was hard. And we were working on a way. We both were trying to find something to dive into, I think. And so that's where we came together and we decided all the things we wanted the hall to be, which we're doing now. We talked about videos from the start. And now here we are 8 months later, finally getting to doing it because we've been doing so many other things.
We started doing our Dungeons and Dragons nights at the new venue. We had our Ren Faire after party. We did a guild ball with the murder mystery night paired together. And that's really where it started, is because we had established these plans where we were like, okay, we're going to do a murder mystery night. And then that's going to lead into our next event, which was the Assassin's Black Market.
Yeah, because that all stemmed from the question we kept getting asked. What you said it multiple times even throughout this was, what are you? Who are you? What is the hall?
Oh, yeah.
That's the question we get more than anything.
Get that every time.
What is the hall? And it's especially as it evolves and turns into as big as it is, it's everything. Like,
yeah. And that's the biggest thing we're trying to not just be as inclusive as possible, but we all have varied interests.
Yeah.
For one, both of our sons are huge Star Wars nerds, which is amazing for me. I love
Star Wars, and they're both into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
My heart is totally melting every day with these boys. But
they're into all of it.
And that's where we are, though, and how most of our friends are, is we have such huge, just varied interests level. We have so many different things.
A lot of people that are into the things that we are into are. A lot of people are into, it's the nerd group. They're a lot of times into a lot of similar style things. And so that's what the hall is about too, I would say, especially as it's developed into the services that we offer. Now that we officially launched a tabletop RPG service that we offer. We have an in-house dungeon master with his own world that can come and do a night.
Not just that, but I'm willing to write people's characters into the storyline. And that's the part of it that matters to me, is I want people to feel like they actually are a part of this. Because it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about the other 3 people that were there from the beginning. it's about building something bigger and giving everybody a chance to feel like they're a moving part in this ever-changing.
Yeah.
And that's where I want things to really develop is, as we mentioned earlier, as I've written the story, as now I finished the novel.
Yeah.
I want there to be more. I want to write about everybody's story. I want to create new stories for everybody to be a part of. And that's really where my passion in all of this is. For me, it's crazy how much I've written. A lot of sleepless nights. A lot of nights where I wake you up at 2, 3 in the morning. And I'm like, here's my phone. Read what I've jotted down in my notes.
What?
I've
Read
put
right
down
now?
4
it's 4
chapters.
in the morning. Leave me alone, crazy man.
I mean, it's weird because to look back on, even for me, learning how to become a writer, because it used to just be weekly social media posts. And it was like a loosely moving story that kind of built into a year-long tale of everybody's actual real lives.
Yeah.
Because everything that has been written in the storyline is a strange fantasy mirror of real life.
That's the funny part about going back and rereading it now. After reading it when I first met you versus reading it now when I got to know you more, it is funny how much you're very much inspired by real life events. What's funny is like you would only know that if you knew the events. It's not so I don't feel like it's in a copy paste kind of way, which is cool.
Absolutely not.
It's cool because a lot of people would do it in a copy paste kind of way versus yours is just, like, that's cool how you wrote that. Because I guess a lot of times what I end up thinking when I'm reading that is like, oh, that's really cool. I like how you spun that. That's where we've developed into this crazy mix of things that we realistically offer. It's at the end of it's about creating a community. You created a whole world. We like to run campaigns in that world. We like to run, or the small vendor events are another thing that we started doing because we want to support our friends and fellow guild members. We said we started working with the guilds at Fair, while a lot of them are people who have their own small business, and we want to help support that by running events. So we started our first vendor event. It was on Black Friday. It was your brilliant idea to run
the Assassin's Black Market.
And I thought that was just such a cool mix and such a cool way to just spin the two together. We had launched the Assassin's Guild, and then we were able to take that and then make it so we can support small business on a day that maybe they typically wouldn't have gotten anything because a lot of times big box stores get most of the attention during that time. And so I'm excited that's going to be a yearly thing for us because that's really fun. And then that led to now we're doing a steampunk event now here in March as well. Another way to support our vendors. We've gotten some
Which realistically for me, it's funny because steampunk was never something I thought I would be into, which to you is hilarious because you've read this story.
Right. I'm like, for Donna's a steampunk world.
Yeah, my campaign setting is set in a kingdom that has steam-powered airships and early 1900s to at latest early 1900s, but mostly like late 1800s style like firearms and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's definitely made for a steampunk kind of event. And yet it's wild that it took me this long to come to terms with the fact that, we should definitely have some steampunk elements in the events that we put on.
Yeah, why not? And steampunk's cool.
It is.
It ties in very easily with all of our garb.
I can't wait to bust out some new garb. Like, you can only wear black leather to so many events before it just becomes stale. You gotta try something new.
I like you in it, though.
And there's the real reason right there.
So that's two of the services we offer is the vendor events now, the D&D sessions or the tabletop RPG sessions, And then like you were talking about earlier, the mystery events. The mystery events were an unexpected service that we really did.
I never would have thought that would be something that I would be doing.
I'd be doing or even be interested in. I guess I think from what I've heard you talk about lately.
Yeah. It came out of nowhere for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, hey, it'd be fun to do a murder mystery night for Halloween, for the Ren Faire guilds.
Yeah, because we were a lot more focused on for a minute there, right before we decided to do the October event, the guild mystery event, we were much more focused on the November vendor event because it was our first one. We were trying to make sure we did it right and set it all up and all that. At least I was.
Yeah.
I was a lot more concerned with whether or not that event was going to go well. And then our October, the mystery event, went so well that we were like, okay, we can do this. This is going to be great. Like,
and it's funny to me because I think I told you the story of that one Halloween night. Oh, geez. I think it was like 2012 where I threw a murder mystery themed D&D session for my group at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like we had one of those like half basement level apartments. So all my friends would normally just jump down onto my patio and come in through the sliding glass door. That night, it's funny to me because the way my friend Zach explains it is he jumped down, the windows were dark, he couldn't like tell if anybody was home. So he opened the door, peeked his head in, and I had candles lining the entire room and just like this eerie mystery music kind of playing.
You did tell me about this recently. Yeah, the other day. Yeah.
And I basically ran this just like a one shot that was aside from the main story in that campaign.
Yeah.
But they walked into this murder mystery event where they're at this noble regal gala that they ended up at.
Yeah.
Which I ran something similar to that with our Thursday game where you and Malt and the crew.
Oh, you mean the one where I was just eating the whole time?
Yeah, where you sat and feasted.
Yeah, I pretty much just ate at the table the whole time while
crazy murders are happening around you. Yeah. That was very similar to what I ran that night. And it was funny to me because that is always the story that Zach tells people. And they're like, oh, Ramsey Dungeon Masters? What's he like as a DM? And he's like, this. He did this.
That. Right there.
Yeah. He had this whole crazy special sessions lined up for us that none of us had any clue was going to happen. And yeah, that's what I like to do is Hall of Heroes is supposed to be an experience.
Yeah.
And I think given my tool set that I've developed over the years, whether it's from being a dungeon master or bartending or managing in bars, it's given me this awareness of if you don't set the tone right, people are not going to have.
Yeah.
And the point is, we're trying to make it so everybody gets to have fun. Be your inner child. Be the biggest geek you want. We love you for it. Please join us. Come and be geeky with us.
Come be weird with us. It's fine here.
We do this every month. It's fine.
I'd say that's a good way to put it. Because every hall night I've ever been to now, and I've been to a lot now, but it evolved into something more. That's where
it's one thing to just meet up with friends, throw your armor on, and show up and hang out at a ball or wherever. But that's not really what we wanted it to be.
Well, like you just said, you want it to be an experience.
Yeah.
The hall is an experience that you come to. And now that's what we offer, whether it's through the RPG night or the mystery night or a vendor event that you come to through the hall. Or you meet us at the fair as the Assassin Guild. There's whether or not it's any of that, like it's an experience no matter what. And that's, I think, the coolest part about it is it went from your idea of I just want to wear my garb all the time to now it's evolved into we're bringing those experiences to other people. And on top of that, it's more than that because your writing has also developed. Because when you were the first thing you ever showed me was the prelude Enter the Assassin, which we don't have up anymore.
Yep.
But
because it was more of a promotion for the bar. It wasn't anything resembling a coherent story.
And it was written to entice people to come to a campaign. like a
Not
RPG
even a
night.
campaign. No, it was just to get them to come to the bar and wear their guard.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not what the hall became. And that's not really what I wanted it to be in the long run, because I didn't want what we do to be just tied to one event.
Yeah.
I wanted this to be something we could bring to anyone, anywhere.
Yeah.
I wanted us to be something more than just D&D at a bar.
Not to mention the fact that I think you wanted to bring your story to life. You're bringing your world to life through those characters and through this world and through this novel that you're writing in the story. I love it because I especially love the videos we're starting to do now alongside this podcast. Is the audiobook is really awesome, because that is,
well, I mean,
it's just so calming.
When you first put it together the other night, I'm laying in bed with it, and you're playing it on the laptop, and I'm just laying there, arms crossed, eyes
kept
closed,
like having,
and I'm like,
you awake?
I'm very much awake, but this is so relaxing.
Yeah, when you put it on the car, I was like, wow, this is really nice to listen to in the car. This is really so I'm really excited. Like, in one way, like, I don't even care, like, if anybody else, because I'm just like, I'm going to sit and watch these videos over and over again and listen to it, because it's really calming. It's really relaxing.
And for me, I mean, yeah, so we're using an AI voice to voice the whole thing. But for me, yeah, because I don't want to read on camera or in general. I hate the sound of my own voice. That's a whole thing. But
I'm so glad we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. So for me, it's just cool to hear what I've written being dictated to me in somebody else's voice. And it changes my perspective on the way I wrote the characters, because hearing somebody else or something else speak it out loud, it gives it a different dimension that I wasn't even aware.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, because I get to look at the characters from a reader or listener's perspective and be like, oh, so this is how they come across to everyone else, which kind of helps me evolve the way I want to write these characters in the future.
I just still think it's cool that you wrote your own world and story and everything, and you utilize that. And I really just think it's cool how much it's developed over time and become what it is.
I want to say, going back to when we first launched the website and when we started Season of the Raven, your season, I think that was when I really started actually taking myself seriously and being convinced that, hey, maybe I should actually write these characters in novel form.
Yeah.
Instead of making our post just a weekly social media 3-4 paragraph blurb.
Yeah.
And actually write this out in long form and be like, hey, so here's A to B to C to D. Oh, by the way, way down here is Z, the deep plot that nobody saw coming.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good at that. You're good at that. And I think that's a good segue into the end of this episode. And because we can go into a lot more detail.
So many more.
Into all that in a full
directions.
episode or more. We might have to do multiple episodes to explain the story of the whole.
I think as we release these seasonal audiobooks, we'll just do commentary on them, and we'll fill in the blanks for people that are listening to it. And it's unfortunate that we are having to go back into these week by week Instagram posts that became a seasonal.
I think as we're posting these new videos, we'll just explain that, some of these are...
Some is relevant to the story. Actually, it's all very relevant to the story, because I've touched back on a lot of things in even the current season that's out on the website, where we're going way back and pressing on these notes that if you haven't read it from the beginning, you might not have known.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's cool to have these audiobook formats where even we can go back and just listen to it over time and understand, oh, that's where that comes in later on.
Yeah.
Because even I do this to myself. I'll weave a web of intrigue and not even be aware of what I've created until there's that final payoff 3 years later in the storyline.
Yeah. That being said, we want to thank everybody that supported us so far.
Absolutely, because we wouldn't have Hall of Heroes without the community that has been there to be a part of it all. Everyone that shows up to our events, everyone that just even reacts to our social media, everyone that has been supportive and guided our steps, even with running it as a business, doing our events, even just showing up, and even if they're not even in guard, just being there to be
general
a part
encouragement is also always like, we get so much positive feedback from everybody in the community here that we've found and whatnot, that that's been a really nice thing to pop back into, especially after the year we had last year and everything like that. It's just been really awesome. So we're really excited for what's to come for the hall.
2025 is going to be a blast.
It's going to be a blast. We're going to talk a lot more about it, and come to one of our events, read the story either online, it's on our website, or you're going to be able to listen to every season of the story here, where every Sunday we're going to be putting out a new video, which will have a new piece of the audiobook. Bit by bit. And of course, we'll be updating through different videos and whatnot throughout this channel. Come hang out with us.
Absolutely.
Enjoy our journey.
And as we always like to say, for the hall. Be your inner child. Be the biggest geek you want. We love you for it. Please join us. Come and be geeky with us.
Come be weird with us. It's fine here.
We do this every month. It's fine.